we have a mission. This week's PSR reading is Decision Point 11. It has the word mission in the title of the chapter, so it's going to be big, and it's a mission for all of us going forward as we march toward confirmation time. I'm your captain, Joe. There. How are y'all doing? Hope y'all had a good week. We're going to go over, for the last 2 weeks, we're going to split up Decision Point 11. Decision Point 11 is made for a mission. A couple other things before we read. We're just going to read the first chapter, and then you can read the second part by yourself and answer the questions at the end. Before we read the first chapter, a couple things that I need to know. I need to know who has done their pulpit talks, their saint talk. I know Clarice did hers. I know Sam and Charlie did theirs, and I know Aiden did his. I wasn't sure, Alyssa, Nick, and TJ, if you guys did yours. So if you can let me know if you did it and when you did it, that'd be great. Also, I need to know who had their interview with the priest, if anybody's done that yet. If you haven't done the Saint Pulpit Talk yet, what we're going to have you do is record yourself giving the talk, because you have to present it. They said that they're not going to take it just sending me your speech. You have to present it. So you have to record yourself giving the talk, and then you can email it to me, and we're going to put it on the parish website. If your parents don't want it on the parish website, please let me know, and I'll just watch the presentation, and that's it. Then we'll just get rid of the video. But you have to present it, because everybody, at least 4 people have presented in front of the entire church. So it wouldn't be fair if the other 4 got out of it. So that's what we're going to do with the Saint Talk. And like I said, I need to know who has had their parish priest interview. So let me know, and I'll include this all in the email too. We're going to do Decision Point 11 and 11.1. 11.1 and 11.2, I'm sorry. And just answer the discussion questions at the end and respond to the email with if you had your Saint Talk, if you did your Saint Talk and when you did it, if you did your parish priest interview, and the answers to the discussion point questions. So let's dive right in. Decision Point 11. I got a new iPhone the other day, and on the back it says, designed by Apple. The phone came with an instruction manual. The sensible thing to do would be to study the instruction manual so that I will know exactly how the device works. But because I have a rough sense of how it works, I just started using it. Over time, I'll learn more and more features, but unless I study that instruction manual, I will never use it exactly as it was intended. And I will miss out on many features that I don't even know exist. Sometimes we forget that as human beings, we have been masterfully designed by God. Sure, you can fumble your way through life, and you will learn many of the features of the human being. But if you really want to understand exactly what God had in mind when He created you, if you really want to understand what you were designed for, you need to study the instruction manual. God has given us His moral law, His Son Jesus, the Bible, the 10 Commandments, the teachings of the church, and the sacraments, all to help us understand that we have been masterfully designed for a purpose. And then every Sunday, God holds a seminar at your parish to explain features that you don't even know you had. It's called the Mass. Designed by God. You don't have a sticker on you that says it, but it's true. Nobody knows what an iPhone is capable of like Apple does, and nobody knows what you're capable of like God does. If you use an iPhone in ways it was not intended for, it will most likely break down and stop working. In the same way, if you live in ways counter to what God designed for you, over time you will break down. And we don't want that. Everything has its purpose. Use things for what they were intended, and all will be well. Start using things for something they were not intended, and they will break down. Can you think of something besides an iPhone that if you use it the wrong way, that it's going to break down and not work anymore? How about a car? It's used to transport people. But if you use it to ram into people all the time, well, it's not going to last very long, and you're going to be out a few $1,000. So that's no fun. Think of some other things that if you don't use it the way it's intended, they'll break down. You have been designed by God with a purpose. Ignore how He has designed you, and you will be inviting every type of misery into your life. Embrace how God has designed you, and you will experience unimaginable joy, even when things don't go your way. Part of God's design is mission. You have been designed for mission, created for mission. You have been placed on this earth at this time to fulfill a specific mission. If you don't embrace and fulfill your mission, it will be left undone. Nobody else has been assigned that mission, just you. You were made for mission. The world is incredible in many ways, but in lots of other ways, it is a mess. And the mess causes a lot of suffering for a lot of people. There is one thing everyone can agree on. Nobody thinks the world is in great shape and all is well. We just need to keep it moving in the direction it's going. Does anybody actually think that? I didn't think so. No, there is a universal sense that all is not well and that the world needs changing. The mess manifests in lots of ways. Poverty, starvation, hatred. We see that a lot these days, hatred. Pollution, greed. It's everywhere. Crime, war, human trafficking, divorce, violence, lying, cheating, stealing, prejudice, sexual abuse, conflict, unemployment, loneliness. It's just a litany of things that are wrong with the world. And these problems are not in some far off corner of the world. They're right here in our cities and suburbs and in our homes. We can see pollution when we look on the side of the road. We see things, trash all over the side of the road, going down the highway, side streets. You can see greed when the way people act when they want something and they don't care what they have to do to get it. We see crime all the time. We see homelessness. You look around town. You know, we live in a nice town, but if you keep your eyes open, you'll see homeless people around. They're right here in our cities and suburbs and in our homes, but I don't need to tell you that. You are more aware of these things than I was at your age. That's because in many cases, sadly, you have been exposed to them. The world needs changing, but the real question is, what are you going to do about it? Don't say I'm too young to do anything about it. Young people are capable of incredible things. I know we've had discussions in class, and I know you guys have told me things that I think that you've done at school. Kids getting picked on. I know, Aiden, you've told me stories about sticking up for a kid getting picked on at school. I just thought that was awesome. And a lot of you had a lot of similar stories. And if you hide behind that excuse, you will end up being one of those people who spends the first half of their life saying, I am too young, and the second half saying, I am too old. Now is the time to start thinking about how you can make a difference. Now is the perfect time to start thinking about your mission in life. The first step is to recognize that most of the mess and most of the suffering in this world is caused by sin. When we reject God's plan and pursue our own selfish agenda, we leave behind us a trail of heartache and suffering. Sin makes us unhappy, and it brings misery to others. We saw this earlier in the program when we explored the Ten Commandments and asked the question, how much suffering would be avoided if everyone lived in alignment with the Ten Commandments? The first step in living a purposeful life is to align ourselves with God and His plans for us and the world. The more I am aligned with God, the less mess, heartache, and suffering I cause. I know when I look at the times in my life when I'm at my worst and going through the roughest times, it's when I wasn't praying and didn't care or didn't pay attention to Mass and didn't care about God. And the times when I'm happiest is when I am praying every day and I'm going to Mass at least every week on Sunday, if not more. And I am thinking about God throughout the day. There's a great story about the boy Samuel in the Bible. When he was about 13 years old, he worked for Eli in the temple. One night, Samuel heard a voice calling his name. He thought it was Eli. So he went to him and asked what he needed, but Eli said he had not called Samuel and sent him back to bed. This happened 3 times, and then Eli realized it was the voice of God that was calling Samuel. Eli instructed Samuel, "Go lie down, and if he calls you again, say, 'Speak, Lord, your servant is listening.'" The Lord called Samuel again, and then told him he was going to do great things through him. Samuel went on to become one of the great prophets, guiding the people of Israel with courage and wisdom. And he was 13 years old, so younger than some of you. If you listen carefully, I think you'll discover that God is calling you to do something about the mess in the world. How will you respond? "Not now, God, I'm busy," or "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." The world is a mess in many ways, but the beautiful thing is, you and I can do something about it. Deep down, you know the world is not as it should be, so let's get busy doing something about it. So when Samuel was instructed to say, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening," he heard a voice. We all might not hear like some audible voice booming out or in our head, but you may feel a tug in your heart to do something in the world. Maybe if you see somebody who's homeless, give them $1. Maybe buy them lunch at McDonald's and bring it back. Little things like that. Stick up for your friends at school if they're getting picked on. You guys always have great stories of things that you do that make changes in the world, and I don't think you realize it, that you're making changes in the world to make the world better, but you really are. So keep that up. Again, answer the questions at the end of the chapter. Read part 2 also and answer the questions and email me back. Okay? You guys take care, and I hope to see you soon.